Day 6, we're going to look at how to connect what we did yesterday with GitHub with our local machines. GitHub for me was one of the weirdest days going through a coding bootcamp, instructing these students on how to use this tool that doesn't really sit well on a pane. You haven't experienced this with code. You've experienced this with emails or collaboration on other things and other fields. So you're going to need to take this with a grain of salt. It is a super powerful tool that we're going to use 10 to 20% of the day, every day moving forward. As I've mentioned before, get in GitHub or at least a quarter of my day, working with a team, collaborating on what we need to do, whether or not it's done, and is it at the highest quality possible. We're going to make an airline view looking down on how to modify remote and have our local Git repository connect to GitHub. Git meeting GitHub. With our local machines on the left and GitHub on the right, we have to understand a pattern here, a process that happens. We make changes here, we code here, we create new things. What GitHub allows us to do is have a third party, another service to host and allow us to collaborate on what we create. So we're not technically coding on GitHub, we're sharing, collaborating, and we're doing things like CI and CD, which stand for continuous integration and continuous deployment. As I've mentioned before, those are big concepts. We're not going to get to them for a while. You just need to know that this fits into it. These arrows here represent something very important: pushing and pulling. And that's what we're going to touch on today in order to get our code pushed from our machine up to the server, and then it will allow us to pull in the future. We won't have to do that. It's less important when you're working on your own, much like I am in this video. I'd be mistaken not to show you the order of operations that I find useful with Git. And that's add, commit, pull, and push. We add our changes, commit them, we pull down any changes we might not have, and then we push. This is a very important order of how you use Git on your local machine to ensure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. I make mistakes with this literally every day, but as the years have gone on, it's less and less. So please feel comfortable making mistakes. That's how we learn. The missing piece here up to this point is the difference between local and remote. Now that I have a GitHub account, I can point to remote and push my changes up. Unfortunately, when I first created code, when showing you Git a few days ago, the local Git repository on my machine has no concept of what remote is. So we're going to have to tell my machine what remote is. The command for doing this: git remote add origin, and then we're going to paste something from GitHub. It's going to be found on the GitHub repo that we're going to create just in a few moments. To start with, we're going to need a new repository. It's this button right here on the right side of the screen, and I'm going to name mine 006. I'm going to add a description. I will not check or change anything else here, and create repository. Just know that if you followed the instructions that I handed off from yesterday on authenticating with GitHub, you should use this one. You can copy this or just click this button. Just know that tapping on SSH and then this button will copy this text right here. This is going to help us out because we need to be inside of Terminal and set up a way for our local folder that we had previously worked on Git to connect to this new repository on github.com. So we're connecting local to remote. I'm going to change directory to my folder for help me understand code. What I'm going to do is cp-a day 3, and I'm going to call it day 6. What this is going to do, if I now ls, is I have a day 3 and a day 6. I copied, and the -a allows me to copy all of the subfolders and files inside of day 3, and named that copy day 6. This will allow me to not be confused moving forward. I'm going to now cd into day 6, and now if I git status, I could see that I need to git add -a, git commit, press I because I'm in Vim. I'm going to write adding practice documents to our first Git and GitHub exercise. I'm going to press escape. I'm no longer in insert mode, :WQ, and now it's committed. Now that I have that committed, I can move on to pull and push. But check this out. If I git pull, it says no remote repository specified. Git remote add origin, and I'm going to paste what I had copied from GitHub. To ensure this is correct, I can type git remote. If remote shows up, I more than likely have it correct, especially if I copied and pasted from GitHub. And now I'm going to git push origin master. There's a few new things in there, but that's okay. There's a few of these things that we just can't pay attention to yet. You're gonna have to take with a grain of salt and just type and use. I can go to Chrome and refresh, and there it is. The code that I have written from our first Git exercise a few days ago is now on GitHub for anyone to view. I'll link this in the description. Now we have some of the most foundational building blocks of being a programmer. This is an incredible triumph to have covered and worked through these things, and unlocks the ability for me to create code during these videos and share them with you, because we've had that first pass through the things you need to be aware of to build code collaboratively. This is without a doubt the most exciting thing to have covered. It doesn't mean that you need to completely understand it at all. Just being aware of it is a huge win. I love Topo Chico. I would say it's like water to me, but it literally is water.